If you're about to build an online community, please just wait. Because there are 4 things that you need to have ready first, and if you skip even one of them, your community might not make it. I have actually seen this happen over and over again. People get super excited, they build the community, they invite all the people in, and then it's just like crickets. Like nothing's going on. Or the opposite, where it's complete chaos and nobody has any idea of what's going on. So if you want your community to actually thrive from day one, then you're going to need to know these 4 things before you build anything. All right, first things first, you need to get crystal clear on your overall strategy and the purpose of your community. Now, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but you would be surprised how many people actually skip this step. A lot of people are just like, well, everybody has a community now, so I should probably have one too. But that's not really a strategy. It's just like following a trend. So let's get super specific, okay? I want you to ask yourself, why does this community exist? What is the actual purpose? Is it to support your course students, or is it to create a space for like-minded people to connect? Is it to build deeper relationships with your audience? Or is it a place for accountability or networking or even for learning? You need to know the answer to this because your purpose is going to guide literally every decision that you make moving forward. Now, here's another big question. What is in it for your members? What value are they getting by being part of this community that they can't get anywhere else? You have to remember that people are very busy. They're already in Facebook groups, Discord channels, Slack channels, and they don't really need another place to just have to check unless it's actually valuable to them. So it's really important that you get clear on the transformation or the benefit that you are going to provide in your community. It could be just as simple as access to you, right? Or maybe it's the peer support or exclusive content or resources. Or maybe it's just a really safe and high quality space where they can connect with others who just understand them and just get it. But whatever it is, you need to be able to articulate it clearly, because if you can't explain why someone should join, they're not going to join. And another thing about strategy, I want you to think about how this community fits into your overall business model. Ask yourself, is this going to fit to be a free community to kind of build your audience, or is it more of a paid community? Or it could even just be a bonus for your course or membership. Or is it the actual main product that you're trying to sell? Now, there's not really any right or wrong answer here, but you do need to know what role it plays in your business so that you can set it up for success. All right, next, you need to have a content and engagement strategy. This is where a lot of people actually drop the ball. They build this community and they have people join and then nothing happens. And that's usually because they don't have a plan for what's actually going to happen inside the community. So let's talk about content first. So what kind of content are you going to actually share in the community? Are you going to post like a daily prompt or maybe a weekly challenge? It could be educational content or behind the scenes update or even Q&A sessions. And you don't have to do all of these things, but you do need to have a plan. Because if you're not consistently showing up with some form of valuable content, your community is going to go quiet real fast. Now, here's a pro tip. Seed your community with content before you even launch it. So have some like initial posts, some discussions or resources kind of ready to go so that when people do join, it doesn't feel like they're coming into an empty room. It feels like they're walking into something that's already alive. Now, I know that that's a difficult thing to think about when it's not built, but I know from firsthand experience that it's a little bit weird to go into a community when there's nothing in there. So you need to think about that ahead of time. Now, let's talk about engagement. So how are you going to encourage people to actually participate? Because the reality is most people are lurkers. They'll join, they'll read, but they won't post. But that's okay. You need to think about how are you going to create opportunities for engagement that feels really easy and low pressure. Are you going to ask some type of questions? Are you going to do polls, maybe host a challenge? celebrate wins, you could highlight members, and you could even make it fun in some way, but you want to make sure people feel safe to participate. Now think about your role in all of this. Are you going to be there like every single day or just a few times a week? Or are you going to have moderators or community managers that are helping you? And what does this kind of sustainable engagement look like for you? Because honestly, burnout really is a real thing. And if you're trying to do everything yourself, you will burn out. So build a strategy that you can actually maintain long term. Now, the third thing that's really important for you to build in advance is the community structure and guidelines. Okay, this stuff is not the most exciting part, but it is so important. Because without a structure and clear guidelines, your community it can just turn into wild, wild west, like really fast. So let's start with structure, okay? How is your community going to be organized? Are you going to have different channels or categories for different topics? Like maybe you have one for introductions, one for wins, and one for questions, maybe one that's for resources. Or are you just going to keep it super simple and just have one main feed? Now, there is, again, no right or wrong answer for this, but you do need to think about what makes sense for your community, the size and the purpose that you have for your community. If you're just starting out, I recommend that you keep it super simple and you can always add more structure, more channels as you grow. Now for your community guidelines, you're going to need to have this to be super clear. These are the rules that set expectations for the behavior and participation inside your community. People need to know like what's okay to post, what's not okay to post, are people allowed to promote their own things? Or how are you going to handle disagreements? And what happens if someone's being disrespectful? Now, you don't need to have like a 10-page legal document, but you do need some basic ground rules that create a safe, respectful, and a valuable space for everyone. And you want to make these guidelines super visible. You might be able to pin them at the top of the community so that people can reference them. You might have to remind people of the rules once in a while. Because when everybody knows what's expected in the community, it does create a much better experience for everyone. Now, I also want you to think about the moderation of your community and those guidelines. So who's going to enforce them? Is it going to be you or do you have moderators? And what's the process if somebody violates those rules? Having this all figured out ahead of time, it means that you're not going to be scrambling when these issues come up. And trust me, they are going to come up. They always do. Okay. So that's why I really want to emphasize to you the importance of figuring this stuff out in advance before you build your community. Now, the other really important thing to prepare in advance is your long-term growth plan. Okay. Building a community, it's not a set it and then just you forget it kind of thing. It's living, it's breathing, it's part of your business that needs attention, it needs nurturing, and it needs evolution. So think about, how are you going to grow this community over time? What does success look like in 3 months or 6 months or even a year? Are you focused on growing the number of members, or are you more focused on deepening engagement with the members that you already have? Both of these are valid, but they require kind of different strategies. So you need to know, what are you optimizing for? And also think about how you're going to keep things fresh. New features, content, or experience to introduce over time and keep people engaged and really excited about being in your community. Maybe you have monthly expert guest sessions. Maybe you introduce member spotlights, or maybe have little subgroups for more specific interest conversations. Or maybe you have virtual events or even challenges. But the point is, you want to be thinking ahead so that your community doesn't go stagnant. And here's something else that you should consider. How are you going to gather feedback from your members? Because they're going to tell you what's working and what's not, but only if you ask. So build in regular check-ins like surveys or just even casual conversations to understand what your members need and what they want. And then actually use that feedback to improve their experience. I know from firsthand, this is the best way to grow your community, because when you're able to articulate and share what is working well in your community, you can continue to grow upon that. And you can also pivot when things aren't going the right way. So get that solid feedback loop happening. Now, if you're someone who has online courses or you're planning to create them, I personally use and I recommend Kajabi for building your community because everything lives in one place, right? All your courses, your community, your emails, your website, all of that is together in one place. And your students, your members of your community, they don't have to jump between 5 different platforms. It's a really great member experience. And actually, I want to show you in my community where you can actually see the back end of our Kajabi community. You can see how we've set it up and you can see all the features, the settings, and how we structured it. So you can see exactly what's possible when you're building your own. So that video is here up in the corner. I want you to go check that out. And if you really want to see a member's experience of our Kajabi community, you're more than welcome to join our free community called the Unstuck Me Club. Link for that is in the description. So we'll either see you there in the community or we'll see you in the next video.